When I first saw this painting, I couldn't stop thinking, how did Caravaggio turn a simple Bible story into the most psychologically intense depiction of betrayal ever painted? As I researched it, I found that this wasn't just a religious commission, it was a crime scene captured in paint, so visceral that it disappeared from history for 200 years, hidden in a Jesuit dining room in Dublin, mistaken for a copy. It's one of those pieces that when you discover it feels like uncovering a lost masterpiece that was hiding in plain sight all along. But here's the genius part. While every other artist painted the arrest of Christ as a dignified, almost peaceful moment, Caravaggio did something revolutionary. He dragged it into the streets of Rome. He made Judas's kiss grotesquely intimate. He painted himself into the scene, possibly as a witness, possibly as an accomplice, and he used light and shadow not to glorify, but to expose, turning a sacred moment into something that feels uncomfortably, brutally real. The artist who painted it was not just any artist. Caravaggio was a revolutionary, a violent genius who lived on the edge of society, constantly fleeing the law, obsessed with darkness and light, and who painted religious scenes as if they were happening in the taverns and back alleys where he spent his nights. That strange combination of divine subject matter and brutal realism produced images so shocking they changed the course of art history forever. But the question we all ask is, what does this painting really mean? The title of the painting is The Taking of Christ, and Caravaggio painted it in 1602 when he was around 31 years old. And here's the thing, this isn't one of those monumental altarpieces designed to dominate a cathedral. Caravaggio worked in oil on canvas, creating a scene that feels both intimate and overwhelming at the same time. The result is something that pulls you directly into the moment of Christ's arrest, making you feel like a witness to betrayal. As for its size, it's substantial, but not overwhelming. It measures approximately 133.5 by 169.5 centimeters. In other words, large enough to immerse you in the drama, but intimate enough to see every anguished expression, every desperate gesture. And here's the curious part. You can walk into a museum and see it, but only because of an extraordinary stroke of luck. The Taking of Christ is housed in the National Gallery of Ireland in Dublin on indefinite loan from the Jesuit community. But for over 200 years, it was thought to be lost, painted over by a lesser artist, or simply a copy. It wasn't until 1990 that art historian Sergio Benedetti, while examining paintings for the Jesuits, realized he was looking at an original Caravaggio, one of the most dramatic rediscoveries in art history. If we look closely at what Caravaggio created, the first thing that stands out is the composition. At the center, we find Christ, serene and resigned, being seized by a soldier in gleaming armor. But he isn't grabbed by an enemy, he's embraced by Judas Iscariot, who plants the kiss of betrayal on his cheek, the ultimate act of treachery disguised as affection. But they aren't alone. To the right, a soldier reaches out to grab Christ, his armored hand contrasting with Christ's vulnerable flesh. Behind them, a young disciple, believed to be St. John, or perhaps the young St. Mark mentioned only in Mark's Gospel as fleeing naked after his cloak was seized, flees in terror, his mouth open in a scream, his red cloak billowing as he runs. And on the far right, a figure holds a lantern high, believed by many to be Caravaggio himself, witnessing the scene, illuminating the arrest, perhaps implicating himself in the moment. Everything is arranged in such a way that the viewer's gaze moves from the cold gleam of armor to the intimate horror of the kiss, to the panic of the fleeing disciple, and finally to the light that reveals it all. Caravaggio chose his signature technique, Tenebrism, the dramatic use of light and shadow. There are no bright backgrounds, no heavenly glows, only deep blacks punctuated by sharp, almost theatrical light. That choice is no coincidence. To understand why Caravaggio painted something so visceral, we need to travel back to his time. It's the year 1602, right at the height of the Catholic Counter-Reformation. All across Europe, the Church is fighting back against Protestantism, demanding art that moves the faithful, that makes religious stories feel real and immediate. This is the moment when the Church wanted paintings that didn't just illustrate scripture. They wanted art that made you feel it in your gut. While some painters created idealized heavenly visions, Caravaggio wanted something different, to drag biblical stories into the real world, to show sacred figures as actual human beings with dirt under their fingernails and fear in their eyes. And Caravaggio was the master of that approach. But while other artists showed the arrest as a dignified, almost peaceful moment, Caravaggio shows us chaos, confusion, and the terrible intimacy of betrayal. In Christian tradition, the kiss of Judas is the ultimate symbol of treachery, the moment when one of Christ's own disciples identifies him to the authorities with a gesture of love. It's recorded in all four Gospels, and artists had been depicting it for centuries. But rarely had it been shown with such raw, uncomfortable humanity. That's why, throughout history, this moment has been interpreted in multiple ways. And that multiplicity is present in Caravaggio's painting. But there's a darker, more psychological reading. Notice how Judas doesn't just point, he embraces Christ, his fingers gripping Christ's shoulder, his face pressed close in a grotesque parody of affection. This is betrayal at its most intimate. Some critics see this as Caravaggio exploring the nature of treachery itself, how the worst betrayals come from those closest to us, disguised as love. And then there's the autobiographical interpretation. Many art historians believe Caravaggio painted himself as the figure holding the lantern on the right. If true, what does that mean? Is he merely a witness? Or is he complicit, holding the light that allows the arrest to happen, illuminating Christ's capture? Some see this as Caravaggio's acknowledgement of his own sinfulness, his own role in violence and betrayal. Caravaggio lived a life of constant turmoil. He was brilliant but volatile, sought after by powerful patrons but repeatedly arrested for violence. He painted in taverns and back alleys, using prostitutes and street people as models for saints and Madonnas. That combination of sacred subject matter and profane life created a tension visible in every brushstroke. He was also fascinated by moments of transformation, the instant when everything changes. The taking of Christ captures exactly that. The second when friendship becomes betrayal, when freedom becomes captivity, when the divine becomes victim. The painting was commissioned by the Roman nobleman Kyriaco Mattei in 1602, and Caravaggio delivered something far more disturbing than a traditional devotional image. He gave them a crime scene, a moment of violence so real you can almost hear the clatter of armour and the gasps of fear. So today, more than 4 centuries later, it's up to us to decide what we see there. A sacred moment of Christ's passion, a universal study of betrayal, or a troubled artist's attempt to understand his own capacity for violence and sin.